Okay, so it seems like there's recently been a little bit of an update to this whole Shylily artist situation which has been going on. Now, essentially, if you guys didn't see the last video, we talked about this one artist who's essentially been making a lot of art for VTubers. And well, this hasn't been commissioned or anything. This is usually just to get the attention of the VTubers so that potentially they could either use their art or either commission them for something else or whatever. And this post kind of blew up quite a bit as many people were pointing out that it was essentially a scam. Now, I think scam is the wrong word to use here because it seems like they do genuinely give out art, and they do genuinely give you a kind of product, but the issue is how it is made, and that is what a lot of people have been worrying about lately, as people have been talking about this artist called Oralist, who is in a big list of other kind of VTuber artists and similar artists and stuff like that, associated with a whole Indonesian artist group or whatever, which have been essentially exploiting artists, right? And again, they haven't said anything about this since the whole situation. Obviously, this whole Shylily one blew up quite a lot whenever people called them out, for being quote-unquote a scammer. Again, I don't think it's necessarily a scam. I think it's more so like misleading in terms of like you're not really understanding who is behind this and like the people that are actually creating the art and how they're treated, which many people have been pointing out, right? And there's been some very good videos on it, including this one from Friendly Neighborhood Artist. I definitely recommend going to go watch it. I'll leave it in the description down below if you want to go watch the whole thing. Essentially, they go through some of the proof of exploitation here, including this tweet, obviously, that is from one of the ex-workers of the studio who is speaking up and compiling many of the artists that want to speak up anonymously. And essentially they're saying that I've been one of the exploited artists there, which has been a very, very big topic, right? And of course, it is a big issue for anybody that maybe wants to order some art or whatever from one of these artists, because they are literally everywhere. Oralist isn't the only one that people are, claiming it to be. Now, of course, I don't know 100% that Oralist is a part of this group, but they have been featured on a list which, people have been putting together to essentially, find out exactly who has been used within this group. And, apparently what they do is they create, multiple accounts with different personas and things which are run, and it all just goes back to the same studio, right? So instead of obviously having the bad kind of PR that they've had so far with their current company and whatever, they essentially outsource it to some like independent looking, artists and things, for example, like an account like this, right? They promote their art and whatever, and then obviously it all just goes back to the company, and then the company makes it and gives it out, right? And obviously in that company, it seems like there has been a lot of exploitation and stuff going on in terms of pay, in terms of like work hours and whatever. And again, obviously that is a big issue for many people that are potentially wanting to commission some of this art, because, I don't really like making people, work underpaid or whatever, and supporting artists, or no, it's not even artists, supporting companies that make their artists, work too much and work for too little, which I think obviously is a big problem, right? And of course, many people do argue the fact like, oh, it's in Indonesia, so like the money is more appreciated, even if it is less. But again, I think, obviously it's an Indonesian company, so I'm sure they know how much they should be paying them. And if that's still too low, I feel like that is still an issue, right? Regardless of what we are paying for it. Now, there's been some other people talking about it, including Cream Puff here, who actually says, guys, stop commissioning them. What the hell? I'm so disappointed. And this one blew up. It got almost 200,000 views, 1.6 thousand likes. And again, obviously people have been finding out about this problem, which has been going on for a little while, where they say you can find more info here. You can check in the comments, which obviously they post more stuff saying, by the way, isn't this one of those scammers? Don't y'all notice different art styles? And of course, people have been calling out. They also linked my video, which is really great to see. So thank you for that one. Although someone did go a little bit schizo on here saying, you should really not support an openly racist man. When have I ever been racist? Like, seriously. Give me a clip. Give me a clip, bro. Like, these people always say the most random stuff, but I do, appreciate them supporting me and my video, right? And of course, they also link a couple other videos from other creators, including this one from Friendly Neighborhood Artist, who actually talks about Oralist as well, in particular, because obviously they've also worked for places or people like Iron Mouse. Iron Mouse did used to have this banner on her page. Obviously, it's not her banner anymore. And of course, I don't think this is necessarily Iron Mouse's fault. I think that maybe she just didn't know exactly, what was going on with this artist, because on the, front page of things, it looks pretty legitimate. It looks like a pretty legitimate artist that, just is your regular artist on Twitter, right? But apparently they've been featured on a list of a ton of other artists which are being used by a company that exploit a lot of their artists that essentially put out this kind of content, right? But they have been blowing up, as you can see with this one post, as they're saying, hey, guys, stop commissioning them, because they've got commission confirmed, a lot of commissions confirmed, right? Which many people have been not so happy with. And again, I think the one thing as well which makes me even more suspicious is the fact that they haven't talked about this, right? Because if Auralist was a an actual kind of legitimate artist, I would like to see some kind of response to this situation, because it has blown up. Lots of people have been talking about it on many videos. Why haven't they made a post going, hey guys, this isn't happening, I'm not part of this group or whatever, and yeah, essentially just kind of cleared up the air with that. But they haven't done that whatsoever. They stay completely silent, which makes me think that potentially they could be a part of this group, right? I think there is a pretty big chance there, and again, I am very skeptical of how legitimate everything is, right? And of course, they have a VGen, which they are currently available. They're doing eye banners and things for a very cheap price as well. You got to remember that, which obviously a lot of people were attributing to the fact that, the kind of exploitation between, the artist behind the scenes. So, of course, if you pay your artist less, you can afford to, kind of present a cheaper offer for banners and things, which obviously beats out other artists. Like, there's other artists doing similar things like this, but you might have to pay a little bit more because they're independent, they've got a lot of work to do, and of course they up the price so that they don't get too much on their plate, and they also get paid a fair amount, right? Whereas they're kind of like undercutting them in terms of just offering cheaper prices, which is great for the VTuber, sure, but we all know the reason why the prices are cheaper, right? Obviously, they do have 30% off and stuff at the moment for some Valentine's Day things, and also a VTuber model, which is just a Vroid model. So again, I'm pretty interested into seeing how that really turns out, as well as apparently they've started doing live 2D VTuber models as well, which can be pretty concerning for some people, because of course, it's one thing getting an animated banner and finding out about all of the kind of exploitation and stuff that's been going on, from other people. You can just remove that, right? And sure, 30 quid down the drain. Some people it's a lot, some people it's not a lot. So again, it's just one of those things where it's like, that sucks. I'm gonna have to get a new one commissioned, right? But whenever it comes to something like your VTuber model, I think that could be a bigger issue for some people that maybe sign up to something like this, because of course now you are affiliated with them more so than you are with just a banner. A banner you can change, a VTuber model you can change, but of course it's going to take a while, especially if, you've worked on this and you've worked on a big model, because again, you'll be forever affiliated with them if you use their VTuber model, which of course could be pretty bad, and a lot of people wouldn't be happy about that. But again, that's the thing that I'm worried about, is the fact that people might, go and commission this thinking, it's fully legitimate and whatever, which again, I feel like, they might do, as far as I've seen, they've had a pretty good turnout rate in terms of actually, giving art back, giving VTuber models and stuff, and actually, completing the commissions, right? It's more so the issue that people have of how it is done and how it is actually kind of, released to people, right? And also, guys, VGen did something and added brokers/studio badges. Is to show if the account has other people working for them. Unfortunately, these scammers won't admit it. That also because us trying aware people, we got some small progress. Apparently, for brokers/studio accounts trying to get past VGen's new terms of service, you are required to credit every artist putting 2 illustrators plus designer, and it's still breaking TOS. So, but again, obviously, I feel like people could just lie about it. As well, we have the list of brokers, which of course is, a lot of these accounts and things. And obviously, if you go through it, there are so many different ones that are kind of featured on here, which I think is crazy. It's crazy the amount of different spaces that are featured on this list, right? And of course, I don't think Auralist is on this one, but again, these are like the brokers rather than the actual kind of, what do you call it, the artist accounts, right? But they have been using a lot of accounts, right? So guys, if obviously they're saying if I promote something problematic, obviously they talk about me there, which I think is quite funny. But also, yeah, they ended up blocking Cream Puff as well after this, which I think is pretty interesting, right? And it really does say a lot about what is going on, because of course, if there was an issue, or, no, if there wasn't an issue, sorry, and this was completely false, you would just prove that it's false, right? You would literally just go, hey, this person, you know, they're slandering me or whatever, blah, 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 blah. You know, they got 200k views, it's making me look bad. Here's the proof as to why I'm a real artist. But instead they just block them, which of course I guess is sometimes a response, but I feel like it's a little bit odd, right? I feel like it's a little bit odd just to block them, you know, if this wasn't true. Like, if this wasn't true, I feel like they would have an easy case just to be like, hey guys, this ain't true, right? But instead they just block them, which makes me feel like maybe they're just kind of, I guess, trying to silence the people that are trying to speak up about it, because I'm pretty sure if you go into view post activities, oh no, it still does come up there. But obviously, yeah, people saying you have no shame. A lot of people as well saying small artists, look at the ones hoarding all the clients. And it's also a scammer. That's the fun thing. So yeah, there's many people that are annoyed at different parts of this as well. For example, some people are clearly annoyed at the potential exploitation that is going on and things like that. But I think they're also annoyed at like the undercutting, the ability for them to undercut a lot of smaller artists and things. I think, you know, angers people too. People said, I think providing context instead of just stop commissioning them, instead of, hey, this is a black company that doesn't pay its artists well. They exploit the labor of others, usually ages 13 to 17 years old. Said, well, true though, I expect them to check the comments. I usually also say that it will give more interaction to aware more people, which again, I do think is actually true, right? Obviously they say, I think, you know, providing context would be nice, but to be fair, they do provide the context down below in the replies. And of course, people will usually check the replies whenever it comes to this, because this is the engagement farming thing, right? This is the thing that will catch people's attention, and they'll be like, wait, what is wrong with this? What's wrong with this artist? And then they'll go and look into it. Whereas if you put everything out on like a platter for them on a page, it probably wouldn't get as much attention. And honestly, for a situation like this, you want it to get as much attention as possible so that people are aware of what is going on. So honestly, I don't fault Cream Puff for doing this, because they still provide the context down in the replies while also grabbing people's attention and be like, hey, you know, this is so disappointing. And then people will go and look further into the replies and find out everything that is going on. And obviously a lot of people saying, you know, is there a list of people doing this? I'm now concerned someone iCommed may be a part of it. There is a list. If you go to my previous video on this situation, it is all up on there. I forgot what the link is for it. I couldn't find it because I'm pretty sure some of the posts have been kind of removed from the quotes of some of their posts. And people saying, oh wow, I realized I commissioned one of them and it's such an elaborate scam. They look like a legit VTuber, which again, yeah, as I said, it seems like some people are having like genuine actual interactions with them and are receiving models and things, but they just don't realize what is behind it all, and you know, the actual truth behind some of the artists that work under these companies. Now, as I said, you know, it's not 100%. You know, we haven't had any confirmation, at least as I've seen. Obviously, they talk about Oralist in this kind of video and stuff like that, and people believe them to be a part of it. But again, it will be interesting to see if, you know, they ever do respond to this, because currently it just seems like they're blocking people, and that's it. Because if I was an artist and I was getting this much stuff towards myself, I would 100% be speaking up about it if it wasn't true. But obviously, you know, we know that, you know, there could be the potential that they're a part of this company and whatever, and this could just be an attempt to silence people into responding to their posts and responding to, you know, and letting people know about their account, considering the fact that they have been getting a lot of commissions as well lately. So again, definitely something to watch out for. Be careful whenever it comes to looking at, you know, different VTuber artists. If you're looking for artists to kind of commission, and obviously it seems like they're trying to get the attention of people like Shylily and Iron Mouse and so many more. And obviously they did get the attention of Iron Mouse there. But again, I do think it is a very, very interesting situation, which will continue. And as I said, if you guys want to go watch this video from Friendly Neighborhood Artist, definitely go and check it out, because it does explain a lot to do with the kind of, you know, proof for exploitation and everything else in terms of VGen's response and things. So yeah, go check that out. And yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. So, yeah.